Have you ever wondered what it takes to run a mid to large scale online business? Well, I'm here at Groomers Pro today, an e commerce seller that specializes in a niche premium grooming product. This company started 2005 from a grooming van business all the way to a multi channel e commerce seller with wild success on Amazon, BigCommerce, and his other sales channels. We're going to be talking to Marco Lalau, president of Groomers Pro, to learn how he was able to scale his business, maintain operations, while using Webgility as a service to help streamline all of his operations. Let's check it out. So we're on the topic of competition. I personally never thought that someone would be competing with Amazon itself. And I know that you experienced a little bit of a challenge, and I've talked to other clients who have also gone through this where they are selling to Amazon and Amazon sells their product for slightly cheaper. Did you have experience with that? Is it hard to compete with Amazon?
Absolutely. It's impossible to compete with Amazon. If you think about if there's a product that I'm competing with Amazon in, I'm not interested in selling that product.
Yeah.
Because one, they're going to always have a lower price. They're going to have a lower fulfillment cost. And if you sell directly to Amazon, you can't dictate what price they sell it at through Vendor Central. So that creates a lot of issues with my distributors. So why compete with Amazon? You're not going to win that battle. So why even try? And I just move on to different products that I'm going to be that have fewer sellers and that I'm going to be able to make money on. That's kind of how I do it.
That brings up a good point, actually. How do you guys source your products? You're obviously experts in the grooming industry. Do you have any methods for sourcing products, or is it just kind of what works?
We know what works because we're in the industry. Like I said, we had grooming salons. We know what groomers and pet groomers want. So in terms of that, we're experts at that, and that makes us really good at creating or finding products. We're primarily a wholesale, I would say, on the Amazon business side, where we just get brands and things that groomers want and list them on there and sell them on there. We do have a few private label brands that we've created, and we've used Alibaba to source them. We've used just international suppliers, either from China or somewhere of that nature. Our grooming apparel line, our high fashion grooming apparel line, the reason why it's so niche and why it's so great is that it's handmade in LA. So we take pride in that. And the textile industry in LA was really big, and we've been losing sales every year from that in LA. So we wanted to kind of make it a point to make it in LA. I feel like groomers appreciate that, and they're willing to pay a little more for that.
Do you have any advice for other high volume sellers like yourself when processing shipping or figuring out these shipping fees and whatnot? What were some of the challenges, I guess, you faced throughout the process?
Yeah, I mean, the devil's in the details. To be quite honest, I feel like FedEx and UPS and some of these carriers, they make things more complicated than they should be, and they make the fees more complicated than they should be. So trying to understand a FedEx bill is really hard.
Yeah.
And trying to understand what your true costs are really hard. And so being able to look at that and see across different carriers what the real costs are is really helpful.
Yeah.
So I guess my advice would be to really understand where the costs are coming from, and how you'll be able to minimize those so you become more profitable.
Yeah. Yeah, and on the topic of tracking financials and figuring out all these fees, what's the experience been on with Amazon? Because we all know Amazon settlement report is extremely complicated, constantly changes.
Yeah.
It is a beast of a problem for many e-commerce sellers. So in your experience working with Amazon, what's been the biggest challenge and what has made it easier?
That's a big question. I think in general, many of companies kind of make things complicated when it comes to fees because I feel that's where they are profitable. If you complicate things a lot enough where the person who's paying doesn't understand what they're paying for, eventually be able to sneak in some fees in there that you can claim are legitimate, and you end up paying those and not even understanding what they are and where they're going towards.
Yeah.
So I see FedEx doing that a lot. Amazon does that. I feel like Amazon, though, you can really dig deep and really get some reports and still kind of understand the costs a little bit. While as FedEx, it's really hard to understand their invoicing method. But yeah, Amazon is a beast, and trying to understand those costs and getting those costs out can be really tough.
Yeah.
We recently just started recording our fees through WebGility, and the thing I like it, and the thing I recommend a lot of e-commerce do is the first thing I did is I pulled their profitability report, and the profitability report basically will tell you how profitable you are on that one item.
Yeah.
So, I didn't know I was losing money on some of these items that I have up there, because what WebGility does is it grabs my QuickBooks price cost, and then my shipping costs, and then my Amazon fees, because it integrates all these different fees. And it basically churns each product into its own P&L.
Yeah.
So with that, if you can weed out the products either that you're making very low money or losing money on, it will make you that much more profitable. So we are less concerned about being, I'm a $2 million seller on Amazon, or I'm a $5 million seller on Amazon. More is, well, I profit this much a month, and I'd rather do 10,000 in sales and profit 2,000 than do 100,000 and profit those 2,000, basically.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at. So I forgo a lot of sales for profitability, and because of that report specifically. There's a lot of sellers and competitors that I know that compete with me that are selling the same price that I'm selling at, or are below the price that I'm selling at, and are not making any money. And I know they're not making any money, but they probably don't know that.
Yeah.
So that really puts me at an advantage. And eventually I feel like they will find out, and then that I will start selling that item again. But in the meantime, we're not here to lose money. So we kind of didn't want to. I cut those products right away, the products that we're losing money on. So
that's amazing. So really getting that financial insight at a granular level has helped you scale by understanding what actually sells and not just trying to put it all out there. I think that's very interesting for other high volume sellers out there who are trying to continue to scale, continue to grow, and maximize on Amazon. So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So it looks like we are processing some shipping over here. So I want to check out what WebGility is doing for the shipping department.
Yeah, we got James and Jeanette right here, and they're processing, I guess, our USPS. We do everything by carrier. We kind of know what products need to be shipped by what carriers. So our heavier goods are shipped FedEx. Our lighter goods are shipped first class in these first class envelopes right here.
Okay.
And what he's doing is he's looking on there, pulling the orders through WebGility, and then at that point he chooses the shipping carrier, and he has it programmed in there where the shipping rules already knows the size and the dimension of the product.
Yeah.
So then all he has to do is print the label, and then Jeanette is helping us put those labels and getting those on. It speeds up everything by doing that.
I know that you worked with the WebGility team recently to enable the Amazon reconciliation feature for the settlement report, because we all know those fees are complicated and intense. So I'm just curious, since getting it set up, how has it been managing that settlement report?
It's great. The settlement report will give you the details, and actually I ended up finding out that the way my accountant had set it up wasn't actually right, and I was reporting more income than I had done initially. So by downloading WebGility, I caught that error downloading those reports, because there was huge discrepancies between what I was reporting, and I ended up finding out I was reporting the shipping income through Amazon twice.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, one through the orders and another through a general journal entry that my accountant would do. So that in terms of that, it was great. We saved a lot of money there. But I've only done the initial integration, and we're able to see the fees, FBA fees that are charged, any fulfillment fees, any shipping costs. So if I ship anything through Amazon, there is the Amazon shipping costs on there as well.
That's awesome.
Which is really nice.
And was that before, was it taking you guys a long time to enter all those fees, or were you just doing just a plain journal entry and not getting that kind of granular detail on each
Well, we
item?
haven't done the full granular report yet. That is 2.0.
Yeah.
We're working with WebGility right now to do that. But just their basic report has a lot of enough info on there
Yeah.
for us to learn about our business and where our costs are. So we look to doing that next as well. And it apparently it gets down to the product level, and we have a lot of the cost down to the product level. But yeah, before I was doing with just a general journal entry of the expenses and fees. So
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like it's definitely improved things. And, I think that's actually a really good tip for other high volume sellers. When getting something like the settlement report set up, starting small and then working up. I think that's very smart because it's complicated and things can always go wrong because it's confusing and complicated. So I'm really excited to hear your feedback on the 2.0 of Amazon reconciliation.
yeah.
It's going to be good.
So I'm going to see the granular level, I guess, has all the FBA fees and what the storage fees are on there. And we have that now as kind of a general entry. But, I talked to some of the developers and they're able to add at the product level what those are. And I'm still, by downloading these fees into QuickBooks, the way I've been doing it right now, I'm still able to go on WebGility and pull a profitability report if I need that granular level. So it's not terrible the way I'm doing it, and I don't know if I necessarily need to go that detailed. If I have a necessity to go there, I probably will. But right now I can just pull that profitability report and use that.
So, on the topic of products, why don't we check some out? I know you guys have your own line and then the wholesale line. So, what are we looking at over here?
So we've private labeled a few things on Amazon. We are not considered private label experts. There are people dedicated on Amazon that just do that. This we've created because we also sell through our catalog, our website, and all our different channels. And it's something that groomers want and that they need every day. So these are just a 50 pack of toothbrushes. And what we've done to make it different is we've wrapped them individually. Because grooming salons are a very dirty environment. There's hair everywhere. So we wrap each toothbrush individually. We give you a bulk amount, bulk discount as well. And then we have it in a reusable container. And people love it. We sell these really well with our customers. And I just use Amazon as another channel. So I just list this on Amazon, optimize my listing, and then sell it on there as well.
And do you sell that, is that through FBA, or do you have other products through FBA?
I don't use FBA for that particular product because there's no competition. It's just me selling it,
Right.
right?
Yep.
So I use seller fulfilled. I may look into possibly doing that because that will increase my volume. As soon as you use FBA, you're Prime eligible.
Yeah.
And so that changes what the volume you'll sell at, right? So it's
Yeah.
always good to have that. These are like little niche things that groomers like, little rubber bands for top knots
Oh,
that they use on dogs as well. We got some spray bottles that we co-branded with one of our distributors, Chris Christensen,
oh, cool.
so which was pretty cool. And then we also manufacture this product called iEnvy. And this we manufacture everything in-house. This is our new Tear Stain facial cleanser. It's a shampoo. It comes out foaming. And again, the great thing about being the manufacturer is I can control who sells it online. So I know who's selling it on Amazon, and I'm able to control that and all that. So
And what can
which
you
is
tell
really
me more
nice.
about that? I'm actually curious about that. In that, you're the only ones that sell it. How was it getting that name out there? Because Groomers Pro is established. It's also Groomers. You can identify that just by searching. So I'm curious how you kind of launched this and how you found your ideal customer for it and how it's been since then, actually.
Well, like I said, we're experts in the grooming industry, so we know what a business owner needs to run their business.
Yeah.
And I remember toothbrushes was one thing that I would order all the time, and it's just a generic product. You can easily source it. So that was kind of one of the lowest hanging fruit that we got, and
Cool.
I double my margins on that, so that's always good.
Yeah.
Just that we try to find little niche things that are specific to our industry, and we advertise it through our catalog, through our whole marketing outlets that we currently have. I just list it on Amazon, to be quite honest. I don't do any pay-per-click on Amazon or anything like that.
But you're successful on Amazon. And do you think it's because you guys nailed it with the product? You have the best products? Or why do you think Amazon is actually kind of such a breeze for you guys to sell on?
Well, like I said, it's our side hustle,
Yeah.
earlier. We don't depend 100% on Amazon. I think that's our competitive advantage.
Yeah.
If that sale went away, we would still have sales from our loyal customers that we service every month. But the products that we represent on Amazon either only have 1 to 2 sellers or no sellers. So getting niche brands and getting in niche industries, I think, is the only way to go on Amazon. I think it's impossible if you're trying to sell wireless headsets on Amazon. I mean, think of how many thousands of people are selling it, how many people are competing with you.
Yep.
And professionals have things that are very niche that they want and that they use every day, and they know, and they look for it.
Yeah.
So when they look for it, Amazon comes up as a possible place to buy.
Yeah.
And in all reality, we charge more on Amazon for all the stuff that we carry. So because we have to, because the cost of the 15% that Amazon charges us and the cost to ship and all that is higher.
Yeah.
So we have to account for that, and we charge more on Amazon than we would on our own website.
Yeah.
People don't seem to care. They want to buy on Amazon. So not being on there would be a mistake.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely, absolutely. So it sounds like customers love your product. I'm curious, have you gotten any bad reviews?
Well, like I said, majority of the stuff that we do, I'm a wholesaler. So the bad reviews and the reviews that we get on the products that we do carry, to me, that that a lot of that has to do with how good the product performs and how the manufacturer should deal with that in developing their product.
Yeah.
Some of the products that we manufacture and that we do look tightly at it, and we do respond to them.
Oh, good.
These are some of the products that we manufacture as Groomers Pro are so low volume, and that we haven't had that many on Amazon yet. We've only just started that. So, but some of the Angels grooming apparel and the iEnvy, we look at those reviews and we revise our formulas or things that we need to do to make it better.
Wow,
Right.
that's very interesting. Have you had a lot of like returns and having to process refunds and things like that for any customers? Is that pretty common for you
Every
guys?
day we get a handful of returns in the mail. I mean, and we have to process those. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
what does that look like? I guess using Webgility, for refunds and returns, how has that helped? Because I've always thought about that. Like, if I return a product, then they have to go record it back into the inventory, and then they probably have to package it again because I didn't unpack it right. Things like that I'm always thinking about. So, how do you handle
Well,
that?
there's 2 returns. There's our FBA returns, which Amazon kind of deals with those. And I've been working with Webgility as well, because Amazon just recently changed how they report those returns. So, Amazon's always changing. So that's kind of the challenge we have there. And then all the other returns we do manually. So we get those returns in, we input it into QuickBooks. If it's sellable, then we put it back on the shelf. If it's not, then we remove it from inventory and put it on our clearance rack or get rid of it in that nature.
So it's all recorded in QuickBooks, and then once you put that inventory back in QuickBooks, Webgility is able to sync that new quantity back out to your other channels?
Absolutely. So if it goes back into our inventory, that added item then propagates to all my different channels that I have.
That's
through
great.
Webgility. Yeah.
Sounds like it probably makes things a little bit easier.
Yeah, for sure.
You've started out this business with the van, and then you had your big commerce site, you have the catalog, and then you expanded to Amazon. And I'm just curious, how has expanding to Amazon impacted your business?
And Amazon can be quite intimidating in the beginning, trying to figure out how to even list a product, trying to figure out how to even ship a product and do all that when you're first starting can be quite intimidating, because they have so much that you can use. And I think Webgility has helped a lot with that, because what it's able to do is It's able to ship things a little easier and consolidate things a little easier into orders that you then ship out and choose the different carriers. Even listing products can be easier, and the having something that unifies all my channels and being able to add a side business like Amazon as part of my business with just clicking a button and slowly adding products on there and generating money is a great thing. And you know, like I said in the beginning, it was really intimidating and really hard, but then once you get a grasp for it and you start doing a little bit by a little bit, it's not so hard. To give you an example, right, we have 5 different channels, right? We have our website, our AGA website, which is our Angels Grooming Apparel. We have our POS, which is our van. So that's actually another channel we have as well. I forgot about that one. We have our INV Manufacturing, and we also sell through the warehouse here. Groomers come to our warehouse. So we're selling at all these different places, and I would never have been able to add all these different sales channels if I couldn't keep inventory. So if I sell this one product, Happy Eyes, on Amazon, it will update. It will create. or WebGility will create this order into my QuickBooks. QuickBooks will automatically remove this from my inventory because it's a sold item. Well, then what happens to my other channels? Well, WebGility then communicates with my other channels, my website, and all the other websites and the POS, and tells them, hey, look, there's 4 of these instead of 5. And so it's doing this in the back end automatically. I don't have to go in and change the inventory on this one item because I got an order on Amazon. So now having Amazon as a channel is a lot easier to manage and maintain. Would kind of be, I would say, that the main difficulty and why we even started with WebGility is how do you even keep track of inventory, right? You can't. It's 2,300 products selling at 5 different locations, different places, and so we chose QuickBooks as our go for all for our inventory, and we use WebGility to unify all those channels into our QuickBooks.
I'm curious. You know, there's a lot of inventory management systems out there, but from what I understand, using QuickBooks as your main inventory database is actually a huge value, and I'm just interested in your take on that, why you chose to store it in QuickBooks and how that has benefited the business versus using a separate inventory system that might not integrate with anything.
Well, that's a good point, is that there's a lot of features and things that QuickBooks integrates with and that people create software for.
Yep.
So that's why people still use Windows, right? I mean,
huge Windows fan.
Windows and Mac is caught up now where people make now software for Mac. So, before it was hard to have a Mac because you had a software that you really liked and you couldn't use it on your Mac. So now with QuickBooks, there is so much software and so many third-party integrations that you have with it, which that makes it flexible. And also, I don't have enough sales volume or an IT department to be able to go to Oracle or these bigger companies that have bigger softwares that can do that. My options are a little limited as a small business as far as that goes, and we found that QuickBooks is kind of it's my accounting software for taxes. It's also it's where everything goes in the end. So that's kind of why we chose that particular software. Yeah, I know there's other ones out there, but that was kind of we had already been using it for a long time. We already had it, and there's a lot of great features about it.
Yeah, I think that's great. You know, I was listening to a podcast about e-commerce sellers, and some of these e-commerce businesses try to implement softwares to allow them to scale, but that's before they're even ready to scale. So I think it's very interesting that you've been successful using QuickBooks, using WebGility, and not needing some other complex system. You've still been able to scale. So how is it difficult to scale the business? You know, you've been in business for a while. Can you tell me a little bit about the process of scaling and what you found success in? I guess obviously expanding to channels is one of them.
Well, it's overwhelming. I mean, if you start looking at getting into an Amazon business or getting into a website, it's overwhelming the amount of things you need to do, right? I mean, and where do you begin?
Yeah.
So that is a tough way. I mean, you can read and read books and go to see podcasts of all these different softwares and how they integrate everything and how they do everything, but where do you begin? I mean, you got to have sales, and you got to start with just getting some sales either through your website or through Amazon, and that will be able to kind of help you move up and kind of buy more inventory and slowly add on. It's all a snowball. Don't go get $2 million and start an e-commerce business. And I don't know. I don't advise of that unless you really know what you're doing.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
start with one item. Sell that item through different channels or through the channel that you have and market it well. And do a good job. And I'll be honest with you, our stuff is not perfect either. I mean, my website always needs optimization. My listings always need to be better. Our images need to be updated, and we're constantly. We just had a meeting this morning about all the things that we need to do online.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming. And I'm going to look at options like Upwork or some of these other places to get help for us to be able to do multiple things with just the same amount of staff.